Wake up. Everything you believe to be true is a lie. Society has taught you what to think, but not how to think. From the moment you were born, they placed you in a system designed to keep you asleep. A system that feeds you illusions, not truths. You go to school, you memorize facts, you believe history as it is told, and you assume that reality is just as they describe it. But have you ever questioned any of it? The world you see is not the world as it is. It is the world as they want you to perceive it. Your reality is carefully shaped through institutions, education, media, and authority figures. They tell you who the heroes are and who the villains are. They define success, morality, and truth, and you accept it without question. But what if everything you know is an illusion? What if the stories you've been told are nothing more than a narrative written by those in power to maintain their control? Nietzsche once said, "There are no facts, only interpretations." Think about that for a moment. Everything you believe is based on someone else's interpretation. Every piece of news, every history lesson, every so-called truth, they are not objective realities. They are constructed perceptions designed to guide your thinking. You are not free. You are conditioned. And the worst part? You don't even realize it. The media is not here to inform you. It is here to control you. Every headline, every news segment, every article you read, it is all curated to shape your thoughts in a specific way. They do not show you the world as it is, but as they need you to see it. Why? Because controlling information means controlling perception. And controlling perception means controlling the masses. If you control what people believe to be true, you don't need force to control them. They will willingly imprison themselves within the walls of the illusion. Governments do not serve the people. They serve their own existence. Power does not relinquish itself. It only reinvents its methods. The illusion of choice is the greatest trick ever played on humanity. They tell you to vote, to choose between different leaders, to believe in democracy. But does anything ever truly change? The names and faces may be different, but the system remains the same. Because the system is designed to sustain itself, not to liberate you. The moment you begin to question it, you become dangerous. And those who challenge the system are silenced, ridiculed, or erased from history. History itself is not what you think it is. It is not a record of truth. It is a carefully curated story written by the victors. The past is manipulated to justify the present. Events are distorted, rewritten, or erased entirely to serve the narrative of those in power. The books you read, the documentaries you watch, the lessons you are taught, they are not pure, objective truths. They are versions of reality that have been filtered to maintain control. And yet, you believe them without question. But the biggest deception of all is the one inside your own mind. You believe you are thinking freely. But what if even your thoughts are not truly your own? What if the ideas you hold, the opinions you have, the emotions you feel, have been shaped, guided, and planted within you? René Descartes doubted everything until he reached one fundamental truth. I think, therefore I am. But even that can be questioned. If your thoughts are conditioned, can you truly say they belong to you? Reality is not what you see. It is not what you hear. It is not what you are told. Reality is something you must seek for yourself. You must question everything. Dismantle every assumption. Break free from the illusions they have placed upon you. Do not accept anything at face value. Do not trust authority blindly. Do not consume information passively. Seek the truth, even if it makes you uncomfortable. Because the moment you begin to see beyond the illusion, you are no longer a prisoner. Freedom is not given. It is taken. And the first step toward freedom is realizing that you have been enslaved. The greatest prison is not made of walls and bars. It is made of beliefs and ideas. They do not need to lock you in a cell if they can lock your mind in a state of obedience. Wake up. See the world for what it is, not for what they tell you it is. The truth is not something you find. It is something you uncover. It is something you fight for. It is something you must be willing to see, even when everyone else refuses to. Wake up. But waking up is not enough. Awareness alone does not liberate you. It only shows you the bars of your prison. True freedom comes not from merely recognizing the illusion but from breaking free of it. And breaking free is not an easy task. The moment you step outside the carefully crafted lies of society, you will feel an overwhelming emptiness, a void where certainty once existed, because once the illusions are stripped away, what remains? If the stories you were told about success, happiness, and purpose were nothing more than tools of control, then what is left to guide you? Most people, when faced with this abyss, retreat into the safety of their conditioning. They cling to the familiar narratives, because even a comforting lie feels better than an unsettling truth. But the strongest among us, the ones who refuse to close their eyes again, embrace the discomfort, embrace the uncertainty, and begin the long, painful process of reconstructing reality on their own terms. This is the true awakening. Not just seeing the illusion, but daring to live outside of it, to create your own meaning instead of inheriting one, to stand alone, if necessary, rather than surrender to a reality you know is false. This is where most falter, not in seeing but in acting, because to act on the truth means destroying everything you once depended on. And that takes more than just knowledge. It takes courage. The world will not reward you for questioning. It will punish you. Society is not built for those who think for themselves. It is built to sustain itself, to preserve order, to keep the machine running without disruption. Those who step outside the illusion become threats, not because they carry weapons or power, but because they carry ideas. Ideas that, if allowed to spread, could dismantle the very foundation of control. That is why every great thinker, every revolutionary, every philosopher who dared to expose the system was met with resistance, ridicule, or worse. The history books celebrate conformity, not defiance. They glorify obedience, not rebellion. They do not teach you about the voices that were silenced, the truths that were buried, the minds that were erased from memory because they saw too much and spoke too loudly. And so, when you begin to wake up, expect resistance, not only from the system but from those still trapped within it. People will not celebrate your awakening. They will fear it. They will mock you, attack you, try to convince you that you are wrong. Not because they have proof, but because your existence challenges their comfort. They have spent their entire lives believing in the illusion, and to accept that it was all a lie would mean accepting that they have wasted their years serving something that was never real. So they will fight to protect their illusions. They will fight to silence you, because the truth does not just free people, it terrifies them. And yet, despite the fear, despite the resistance, despite the loneliness that often comes with seeing too much, there is something profoundly powerful about stepping beyond the illusion. Because once you do, once you realize that your mind is your own, that your thoughts no longer belong to the system, that your beliefs are no longer dictated by authority, you gain something that no institution, no government, no force on this earth can take from you: true autonomy. Most people live their entire lives without ever thinking for themselves. They are guided by invisible hands, controlled by narratives they never questioned, shaped by forces they never perceived. But you, once you wake up, become something different. You become untouchable, not in the physical sense, but in the most important sense of all, the mental. You become the kind of person who cannot be manipulated, who cannot be programmed, who cannot be used as a pawn in someone else's game. That is why free minds are feared, because they do not follow, they do not obey, they do not submit. They exist outside the system, outside the illusion, and in doing so they inspire others to do the same. And that, more than anything, is what the system is afraid of. Not the lone thinker, but the chain reaction that one awakened mind can create. So now the choice is before you. Will you step back into the illusion, pretend you never saw, go back to the comfortable sleep where the world makes sense, where you do as you are told, where you live as they expect you to? Or will you keep walking, even when the path is dark, even when the answers are not clear, even when every force around you is trying to pull you back? Most will choose the first option because it is easier, it is painless, it allows them to live without conflict, without challenge, without the weight of responsibility that comes with true awareness. But a rare few will take the second path. They will choose to keep their eyes open, even when what they see unsettles them. They will choose to think for themselves, even when it isolates them. They will choose to seek truth, even when it costs them everything. And those few, though they may never be celebrated, though they may never be understood, are the ones who will truly live, because to see reality for what it is, and to embrace it rather than run from it, is the greatest act of freedom a human being can achieve. So wake up, step forward, and never look back. But even as you stand on the threshold of truth, know this: awakening is not a single moment. It is not a revelation that comes all at once and then stays with you forever. It is a process, a relentless journey of unlearning, questioning, and reconstructing everything you thought was real. The lies that have shaped your world are not just external. They live inside you. They are embedded in your language, in your desires, in your fears. The world has not only told you what to think, it has told you how to think. The system is not just in the government, the media, or the institutions. It is in your mind. Every belief you hold, every reaction you have, every assumption you make has been carefully shaped by forces you never even noticed. And that is why awakening is so difficult. Because it is not just about breaking free from the outside world. It is about breaking free from yourself. It is about stripping away every illusion you have internalized and standing naked before the raw, unfiltered truth of existence. It is about destroying the comfortable identity that was given to you and forging your own from the ashes. And that, more than anything, is what terrifies people. Not the idea that the world is a lie, but the realization that they themselves are a product of that lie. And so, many will fight to protect the illusion, not because they love it, but because they fear what lies beyond it. They fear the responsibility that comes with self-liberation. They fear the burden of having to define their own purpose, to create their own meaning, to walk a path where there are no signposts, no guarantees, no external validation. That is why so many choose to remain asleep, not because they do not sense the lie, but because the lie is easier, because it is structured, because it gives them something to hold on to, even if it is false. Because to awaken fully is to embrace the terrifying reality that nothing is given to you, that no one is coming to save you, that there is no script to follow, no ultimate authority to guide you, no predetermined destiny to fulfill. There is only you, alone, standing before an infinite abyss of possibility. That is the true cost of freedom. And most people, no matter how much they complain about the system, are not willing to pay that price. They want change, but only if it does not demand transformation. They want truth, but only if it does not shatter them. But you have already stepped beyond that threshold. You have already glimpsed the reality beyond the illusion. And now, the question is not whether you will wake up. The question is whether you will stay awake. Because the system does not simply let people go. It does not just stand by while someone breaks free, fights. It adapts. It evolves to keep you contained. And if it cannot trap you with fear, it will try to trap you with comfort. If it cannot control you through obedience, it will try to control you through distraction. It will give you just enough freedom to make you feel like you are awake, while still keeping you chained. It will allow you to question some things so long as you do not question everything. It will give you false revolutions, false awakenings, false movements designed to make you believe that change is happening, when in reality the machine remains intact. And so, even those who wake up often find themselves caught in a new illusion, an illusion of resistance that is just another layer of control. Because the system understands something that most people do not. It knows that real freedom is not just about rejecting the illusion. It is about stepping beyond it entirely. It is not just about fighting the machine, but about refusing to be part of it in any way. And that is what makes true freedom so rare. Because it requires not just rebellion, but total self-mastery. It requires not just awareness, but action. It requires not just escape, but the ability to build a new reality from nothing. And that is the final challenge. To not just wake up, but to create. To not just destroy the old, but to build something new. It is easy to see through the illusion. It is much harder to construct an existence beyond it. Because once you break free, you cannot simply drift. You cannot remain in a state of endless questioning without ever stepping forward. If you reject the false reality, then what will you replace it with? If you no longer live by the rules of the system, Then by what rules will you live? If you do not serve the lie, then what truth will you dedicate yourself to? These are not questions that anyone can answer for you. No philosopher, no teacher, no book can give you the path. You must carve it yourself with your own hands, your own mind, your own will. That is the ultimate responsibility of the awakened. Not just to see, but to act. Not just to reject, but to build. Not just to awaken themselves, but to awaken others. Because the greatest lie of all is that one person cannot make a difference. That the system is too big, too powerful, too deeply rooted to be changed. But every great shift in history began with one mind that refused to conform. One voice that refused to be silenced. One individual who chose to see when everyone else was blind. And so the question is no longer about whether you will wake up. The question is what you will do with the truth you now hold. Will you bury it? Ignore it? Pretend it never mattered? Or will you live by it no matter the cost? That choice is yours, and that choice is everything. But now, as you stand at the edge of everything you once believed, you must understand something crucial. Awakening is not an end. It is not a destination you arrive at and rest. It is not a singular moment of enlightenment that lasts forever. No, awakening is a continuous battle. A struggle against the forces that seek to pull you back into sleep. The system does not simply vanish because you have seen through it. The illusions do not dissolve the moment you recognize them as lies. They remain, persistent, waiting for the moment you falter, waiting for the moment you grow tired, waiting for the moment you wish, just for an instant, that you could forget, because forgetting is easy. Going back is easy. Pretending none of this ever mattered is easy. But that is not the path of those who choose to see. That is not the path of those who refuse to be shackled. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Not against others, not against the system alone, but against the pull of your own mind, against the comfort of slipping back into unconsciousness. Because once you awaken, you can never truly return to ignorance, but you can allow yourself to be lulled into complacency, into numbness, into a passive existence where knowing is not enough, where truth is seen but not acted upon. That is the greatest danger, the temptation to stop at awareness, to believe that seeing through the illusion is the same as breaking free from it. But freedom is not just a state of mind, it is a way of being. It is a choice that must be made every single day, in every action, in every thought, in every moment. And so, what will you do? What will you do now? Because knowing the truth changes nothing if you do not live by it. Seeing the lie means nothing if you continue to participate in it. Awareness without action is the same as ignorance. So what is your choice? Will you allow the world to dictate your reality? Will you allow fear to keep you small? Will you allow comfort to keep you silent? Or will you rise? Will you claim your mind, your voice, your life as your own? Because make no mistake, the world will not welcome your awakening. It will fight it. It will test you. It will demand that you submit, that you obey, that you fall back into line. It will call you a fool, a dreamer, a troublemaker. It will tell you that you are alone, that your resistance is meaningless, that your words will change nothing. It will do everything in its power to make you believe that surrender is the only option. But it is not. It never was. The power was always yours. It was only hidden from you, buried beneath layers of conditioning, buried beneath the weight of a world that never wanted you to realize the depth of your own strength. But now you know. And once you know, you can never unknow. So stand, even when they tell you to kneel. Speak, even when they try to silence you. Think, even when they try to dictate your thoughts. Live, even when they tell you how to exist. Choose your own path, your own purpose, your own truth. And never again let someone else decide who you are. Because this world belongs not to those who follow blindly, but to those who dare to see, to those who dare to wake up, to those who dare to fight for something real. Even when everything around them is a lie. And you are one of them. You have stepped beyond the veil. You have glimpsed the truth. And now there is only one thing left to do. Live it. Because in the end, that is the only thing that has ever mattered. Not the illusion, not the lies, not the fear, but the choice. Your choice. And that choice from this moment on is yours alone.